Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Thought Leader Recruit podcast. I'm delighted to be joined today by Ben Cawthorne, Director of SW6. Ben, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to do this today. SW6 works with everything from entry level to board placements. What types of businesses do you typically partner with?
Yeah, so look, we're in the recruitment to recruitment space. Typically, we work with businesses based in the UK, and we are starting to look, I guess, more frequently, like a lot of businesses are looking at America. Our entry level team will partner with kind of a range. I guess the kind of core things we're looking for are like white collar professional services across most markets, I guess, with good leadership, training, looking to partner with businesses that are looking to grow. We have a experienced team, and that experienced team typically tackles like technology, life sciences, engineering and construction. I've been doing a little bit of legal stuff myself recently. And then our exec team will look at kind of board placements again, typically across those types of industries. But all recruitment and search and most of the work that we're doing at the moment is UK and little bits over in America.
Exciting stuff then when you get over to America eventually.
Yeah, I mean that is definitely the plan. I think it's seen definitely as the kind of promised land, and I mean the numbers out there are crazy. I would love us to have boots on the ground in the next couple of years. I think it's always kind of been threatened, and we it is or is going to be the biggest recruitment market moving forward. I think even with the politicians trying to kind of pull the rug out from everybody at the moment, there's still a lot of movement. There's still loads of growth. And I think it's kind of been a trend across the industry that businesses are trying to move over there and do as much business they possibly can over there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I speak to a lot of firms out there, and yeah, it's really thriving. So I can see your point there for sure.
Well, it's funny, Sam. Like, so I was listening to another podcast on the way in. I won't obviously name other podcast names on the show, but the chap was an insurance recruiter, never done America before, started up completely from scratch, and first market was I'm going to go and conquer America. It's just so vast, right? It's so vast. The salaries are probably the biggest globally, I would say. Short notice periods are super attractive. And where it's so vast and probably seen as kind of less saturated, it's almost seen as a bit of a gold mine. However, I think there's huge hurdles to going over there. And I think for every company that gets it right, there's a lot that get it wrong as well. And I'm hopeful that we don't fall into that second bracket.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine. With the job market being so competitive, how do you help candidates stay out?
So for us, I guess we're in a quite a unique position. Like I see my team and our business as a support mechanism, not just for companies to hire good talent or the best talent they can find, but also to make sure that candidates are truly supported. I want my guys and girls to be really, really thorough at the start of all processes. So I think it's less around kind of making somebody stand out, but actually more around making sure that we are putting candidates in front of the right businesses to stand out. I think recruitment can have a bit of a stigma attached to kind of throw as much shit against the wall and something's going to stick, right? I think if you truly take the time to assess somebody's characteristics, profile, CV, background, desire moving forward, and then make logical steps to generate a list of businesses that are really good matches, that's going to be kind of like the first stage of getting somebody to stand out for sure. Other than that, if you're dealing with recruiters, like you'd be shocked to find out how many people just do not know their numbers inside and out. That is a very simple way to kind of stand out against the crowd, knowing it inside and out, understanding your processes. So how do you go from ground zero to engaging a candidate to then moving through that structure to make a placement? And ultimately, I think tooling candidates up with the insider knowledge about that business, what they're looking for, what their values are, what the culture are, who they're going to meet, making sure they are truly prepared and excited about opportunities. I think if you do that, and everything that I've just spoken to you about there is actually all around really process. If you get your processes right and put logic and common sense through that process, you're giving candidates a really good opportunity to excel in interviews and make good impressions.
Yeah, absolutely. You give them half a chance when you put them into the right positions as well.
Do you know what? And like, I do think as our industry, like, you kind of see candidates saying, "Oh, I've been sent a list of 30 businesses to kind of go through." And ultimately, most recruitment businesses are using the same website design, website provider. Like, our job, and I think this gets lost probably across sectors, our job is not just to kind of get interviews and make placements, but it's to truly become an extension of a business that you're hiring for. And that's not just, trying to find great talent. It's truly understanding what their business does, how it works, what the culture like in companies. Because then when you're going through that selection process and the telling candidates about those businesses, it truly feels like you understand them, and that makes the process a lot slicker.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I read the stat the other day. I think it was 68% of companies say they can't find good candidates. Is there a true talent shortage, or employers just looking in the wrong places?
There is a talent shortage for sure. Oh, that stat, I'm just going to put that as that's recruitment companies, right? Because I don't know where those numbers have come from. But there was an article in the Recruiter, November 24, that basically said there are like 32% less recruiters in the market than there were a year ago. I think over the last 2 years, it's been super challenging, really challenging. I think businesses have felt a lot of pain. I think businesses have gone through a huge economic upturn after COVID, and then the downside and fallout of that boom is still being felt. I follow Greg Savage, and I get all of his links through, and he's very good at kind of picking apart like the industry and graphs, and he put a graph up around like the boom of hiring and how long the kind of almost hiring depression has been going on, and we're still feeling it now. We're not seeing, and I don't think we will see for a very, very long time, if ever, those kind of after COVID boom. But what that's meant is businesses typically will invest heavily on upward trends, but I think our industry probably made the mistake of going a little bit too hell for leather, thinking that the good times were never going to stop. And then where the industry has kind of tightened up so much, that has put loads of financial pressure on businesses, which then puts loads more pressure on consultants. And I think people that are junior, that don't have a black book of clients, that maybe don't have that reputation, are still learning their way, they will be the first kind of churn out of most downturns. And a lot of those people will never re-enter the market. They will see recruitment as way too challenging, micromanaged, KPI'd, super difficult to build careers in. And everything that's been kind of sold to them will almost kind of, they'll see it as a bit of a lie, and they'll never re-enter. And you lose loads of really good people and great talent that way. And that's one area. But then the second area of people that have been decent in the industry and have just found it such a slog that, they're probably looking at it and thinking maybe there is a better way to make okay money, because, a handful of people will make hay while the sun shines, but they'll also make hay in challenging markets, the really, really top people that have got longevity and get it right. But then that middle tier will be probably earning less than they need to and expect to, and they'll transition out. I guess going back to your original question, is there a talent shortage? The numbers suggest there's a talent shortage. I guess what I feel is when my guys are building out projects and looking at people that are relevant for job roles, what I mean especially is the kind of experience market here. So 3 years all the way up to leadership, then projects definitely feel more challenging to put together. I think the opportunity to pitch and sell candidates is more challenging because you're getting less of an opportunity and less people to speak to. And what we're actually seeing now, which is probably a reaction to this, is our entry-level team has started to win really large projects with some really big players in the market. So what I think people have felt is almost 18 months of stabilization. They're maybe looking at that kind of experienced talent pool and thinking, we're not landing people. The job flow is starting to uptick slightly. The political landscape is settling down, sort of. And we need to now start thinking about growing the business again, but probably growing a business more strategically than just whacking loads of heads into it. And then maybe feeling that kind of pressure to bring people in, but not finding that experienced talent. So what do you do then? You look at your really high level juniors to bolster your teams up. And I think that may be a bit of a trend moving forward over the next 18 months. I can really see companies starting to feel like their profit margins are getting a little bit better. Roles will start coming in. I think people are trying to break into new areas and new territories and are probably more battle hardened now to do so. And that's going to make some more space for people coming into the industry, because ultimately our industry needs heads, and it will continue to need heads.
Yeah, absolutely. And how common is headhunting in your sectors?
When I started, I don't think it was that common at all. 9 years ago, I actually started on the entry level team. So I came in just doing trainee recruiters. So I didn't know really what headhunting was, apart from telling candidates what I thought it was. What we've seen in our industry is a shift and quite a reaction to what's happening in markets. The first thing that happens when you get into a downturn is people turn the taps off at entry level. People will look for maybe a safe pair of slippers to come in, bill money, bring some clients along. What they don't have time to do is kind of train and develop entry level staff. So where that's been turned off for some time, a lot of our competition have gone into that middle section. And I think we probably entered that middle section about the same time. And I would imagine that all of the businesses that we're competing with are now trying to work through strategies to understand best practice to headhunt. It will become more prominent. What I have noticed and been fed back from my guys is recruiters still don't get called. Very, very rarely do recruiters who we ring or message and speak to, what they are talking about is they are receiving a massive amount of emails, everything that is kind of behind a screen and not on a telephone. Recruiters are being hit up more and more in those channels. And I think across our market and the wider market, with all the technology that's being brought in to speed you up, make you sound better, that noise is so loud now that I think the telephone, funnily enough, is going to come back to being the prominent form of our industry making money. And whilst I feel like when people have got lots of options, they will go for the path of least resistance, which is an email. When that starts blocking you and you're not making the money, you're going to come to a crossroads of, I suck it up and get good at the telephone, or is this industry not for me? And I hope that my guys, and I hope the wider market, go back to a little bit of old school and start building those proper relationships, because I think as an industry, if we don't, AI is only going to get better and better and better.
Yeah, I've actually been hearing that myself. I was speaking to some guy in the States yesterday. Actually, he said exactly the same thing. He said the more old school kind of building relationships way is what he's getting the most results from, surprisingly now.
So I really rate a lot of people in our industry. I really rate chaps like Ben Browning, Alex Elliott. And I think a mistake our business have made is we've always been kind of people first and not process first. And there's more and more, probably because of Ben actually being incredibly vocal on LinkedIn, but it's so true. People are looking for silver bullets in people, but not having a really solid process to get good people good at the job. So we've been building a lot of our processes at SW6 and really kind of trying to fine tune our own methodology of how this needs to work to make somebody successful. And frankly, we were crap at this, really, really crap. We were very much like by hook or by crook, we would make good money. And that's not scalable. And I think I've learned the hard way and really kind of looked at that and spent hours upon hours recently to build out, I guess, version 1 of what I'm going to kind of hang my hat on as a playbook. And a lot of the things that we're building in. So, for example, I'm not going to allow my guys to work on a job role if it's based in London, if we haven't gone out and met that client. We just will not take the brief. We just won't work that role. Because ultimately, the differentiator in our industry now is going to be relationships. Because there's going to come a time where a business will be able to get some kind of bot. I think it's already happening, screening calls with bots and stuff like that. I've heard it, I've seen it. But it will become so good and the conversation's so quick that I guess the only way you would be able to catch them out is by saying, is this an AI bot? And if they can start lying, then we're really fucked, right? But like little things like that, part of the process is not just an email, but the second part before the second email can go out must be a phone call. We must meet a candidate through process. We have to almost get back to like the recruitment roots to be successful, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, talking about kind of AI, I know we talked before, you said you were testing out some AI tools. Is there anything that's kind of been really stand out for you and that's helped you in your work at SW6?
There's loads. I need to probably be very honest here and say that I've tried a lot of things and messed a lot of things up and get quite frustrated when I try and implement badly and then don't know why my guys aren't using bits of technology. And there's some, again, amazing people on the industry that help with that, like Saeed Bohr. I think if anybody's having any tech issues, he's the guy to go to. But like Fathom as a note taker on your videos is the best that I've seen. I think Quill do it, but I haven't tested it out. I think Fathom has been exceptional for us to make sure we're not missing anything. We use device phone line, which note takes as you speak on the phone, and will give you snapshots of what you're speaking to, and you can message people through the phone line, text them, email them. Like incredible tool, and will only get better as the technology gets better. I'm yet to find an exceptional number generator, an email generator. We've tried a few different products and I think they're all a little bit hit and miss. And we also use Pager. So Pager does our marketing. You tune in your voice. It creates content for you. It gives you news stories. It keeps your finger on the pulse and saves us a load of time and brain power. And I guess the way that we try and work it so that it doesn't just look like we're copy and pasting off AI is we'll tweak it, we'll edit it, we'll create our own voices in it. And I think it's quite unique in terms of creating your own voice and almost copying how you posted before using Page. I think that's a really, really good tool. The guys down there are excellent.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem we have in our industry in terms of technology is, again, I think people look for silver bullets. And I think my kind of bar in terms of trying to bring technology and AI and other bits and bobs into the industry is, will it save us time? Will it allow our consultants to do more sales-based activities? And just will it improve what we're putting out to the world or onto our system? If it does those three things and you can adopt them, I'm absolutely all for it. I think you have got to adapt to what is happening in the world, but only adapt if things are going to genuinely get you into money-making tasks more frequently with more time spent in those tasks. Everything else is just noise at the moment, I think.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, actually. I think in recruitment as well, with AI, it's such a personable industry, isn't it? I think, like you said, if it can do all those things, great. But, it's never going to take the human element from recruitment. That's vital, isn't it? So, yeah, it's interesting how AI is going to evolve.
I mean, I believe it has to be a human industry. It just has to be. The reason being is your product has emotions, and I'm not convinced that AI will get to a point to be able to understand emotions as we will understand emotions. Because I think if that happens, things change dramatically will change, and maybe that's a long way in the future. But and I'm speaking for my industry especially here. the choice of recruitment business that you're going to go into is a really like personal, and there is an emotion attached to the choice. It isn't purely logical, because you've got leadership, you've got leadership relationships, you've got culture, teammates, you've got how the business will affect your personal life, you've got the elements of now like remote working, and that's changed in our industry. You've got the mental health side of how challenging this industry can be. The selection process for a recruiter moving jobs, I think, is highly emotional,
Yeah.
backed by logic.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I've got an interesting podcast coming up with a guy who's got a platform that is just purely AI. So does the interviewing, does everything. It's really, really interesting. And I actually had a demo of it as well. I actually got interviewed by the avatar, and yeah, it says it's AI. You know, it's not making no secrets. It's AI, but yeah, it's impressive.
If it didn't say it was AI, so what I found, I've seen a few of these kind of avatar or bots, whatever they want to be called. I've seen a few of them. There's always pauses, and it's like it almost feels obvious that there's pauses where it's like working out what to say. I wonder if they could make the pauses do what I've just done there, and like sort of like almost an R through it. I don't know, but I the pauses are what catches the AI out at the moment. How slick was it? How quick was it? Or did you, if it didn't say, "Oh, I'm a bot," would you have understood that it was pausing through and thinking as a computer would think, I guess?
Yeah, I think yeah, it wasn't obviously perfect. It was really, really good. It's really lifelike. And we had a conversation. It could actually tell you what you're wearing as well. If you asked it, it knew what you was wearing, which was pretty impressive.
Without seeing you.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just like this, just exactly what we're doing now. And if you asked it like, "Oh, do I look alright with what I'm wearing? Okay for the interview?" It says what you're wearing and says, "Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you're wearing this, that." Yeah, it's great. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, the voice and the way it flowed was really good. But you could still tell it was an AI. You know, you can, because
But
there's like movement and stuff. Face movements are a bit weird. You know, it's kind of glitchy.
I think for me, I guess maybe for us, like the technology is all really new, right? But it's been developed for years and years and years and years and years. So we are the consumer of the technology, which I guess means we're now seeing it and analyzing it and debating it and probably putting it into all of our businesses, right? And but it is so interesting. Like if you think, the easiest thing for me to think back to is COVID, right? Sitting on my kitchen side, wondering if the world was going to end, thinking if I should buy stocks in Shell because they just collapsed, and trying to do a bit of recruitment. There was no AI at that point. And we're looking at like, what did it, like 23 it finished, 22 it finished. 3 years, it's everywhere. And it's consuming the conversation at the moment. So I was at the expo. And honestly, I find that place like fucking overwhelming. Like it's overwhelming walking around there with all the stands and what everything's doing. It is just like a tech fest now, but everything's AI. It's just like every conversation, every thought leader, every panel, everything had AI in it. It is like the major topic. Maybe because everybody's shit scared that it's going to take everyone's jobs. I don't know, but is everywhere. It's here to stay. I think it's just the people that can use it and harness it the best will prevail. If I was a business owner and I was saying I'm never putting an AI tool in my business, I think they will be the ones that will fail at some point.
Yeah, they'd be non-existent. I would have thought if you don't implement some kind of AI for sure. Yeah. Final question: how do you see recruitment heading in the next 5 years? Where do you think it's going to be?
To be honest, mate, I've kind of given up guessing. I've given up guessing what's going to happen next. Ultimately, this downturn can't keep going on. If we look at the numbers, there are less recruiters in the market, right? I think businesses are starting to think about growth again after stabilizing. A lot have left the industry, but I think that headline's very easy to shout about. Whereas actually so many have started up, so many new companies have started up. So there's been so many success stories as well as the kind of negative press and people shutting up shop. I think the rest of this year, I don't know about 5. I've got no idea. That my answer will be crap, and you might even come back to it and see how wrong I am, like the pundits on the football. But I think 2025 will be more continuous stabilization. I think 26 will start to grow in a positive manner. I think this year for businesses, it's all about getting the right people in the right seats, looking at the right markets that are valuable, less saturated, and putting yourself in a decent position to kind of grow. I think outside of the UK is going to start beating and going past the UK. I think America, obviously, but I think Australia have turned a corner and they're going. Europe seems okay, but I think recruitment markets are going to go past the UK at some point. Hence why people are trying to get out of them. And my last thing is I think that throughout this year and next, the industry will open the doors to making it one of the best entry level roles that you can get into after university. Honestly, I think we may have lost that a little bit over the last few years, and it's been tricky for graduates to enter the industry. It's been tricky, but I think throughout my 9 years, I know no other industry that gives the opportunity financially to progress, the culture, the development, the first step on a career that's better than our industry. And that's why I do it. I love doing it every day. And I think it is really a career that can really change people's lives. It did for me, and I'm not a grad. It really changed my life. That's kind of my six months to a year prediction. Tough at the start and a bit of a slog for the rest of this, but 26 I think will really start to go.
Good times ahead. That's what we like to hear. Right. Thanks so much, Ben. Where can our audience connect with you and find out a bit more about SW6?
So connect with me on LinkedIn, Ben Cawthorne. You'll find me. I've got a yellow banner behind me. SW6's page is quite lively as well. Our marketing girl Gracie does an absolutely stellar job of getting us in front of everybody and anybody. So yeah, feel free to connect there.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Ben. Really appreciate it.
Great to meet you, Sam. Thanks a lot.
Yes.